Given the responses to the discussion topics questionnaire, I have dedicated this unit to both the big picture, which you will read about in your text, and the next steps in your life. This presentation focuses on graduate school. During this presentation, I will go over the decision to go to graduate school and whether that is the right decision for you or not, and when is the right time if you do plan to go, what programs are available and common for HDFS majors, the graduate school admissions test or other tests, choosing the right graduate school, and how and when to apply. There are so many advantages to getting an advanced degree, such as higher income potential and career advancement, but it is easy to question if this is the right decision, especially if you've never held a quote-unquote real job before. After all, grad school is a huge investment of your time, money, and energy. Before you can say one way or another, you should ask yourself these 6 questions. Should I go to graduate school? When should I go? What type of degree should I get? Where should I go? Can I afford it? And when do I apply? When considering if you should go to graduate school, it is important to consider whether an advanced degree will help you attain your career goals. Do you have a clear understanding of what you want to do? If not, right now is probably not the right time to be filling out applications. Instead, you should be focusing on self-assessment and career planning as your first step. If you do have a clearly defined career goal, you need to evaluate whether a graduate degree will help you achieve it. Certainly there are many careers that require an advanced degree, counselor or attorney, for example, yet there are so many careers where an undergraduate degree is the norm. There are even some situations where a graduate degree may be to your detriment, if you have little or no work experience, for example. So it's important to do some homework before starting this process. You may be asking yourself, is it better to attend graduate school right after I finish my bachelor's degree, or if I should get some work experience first? The answer depends on your goals and circumstances. Take some time to consider the pros and cons of both options carefully. And of course, you should keep in mind that there are some programs that will require you to have prior work experience before applying. Some of the general advantages to going right after undergrad are that you're used to studying, writing papers, taking tests, and being a student, and that you may not have the same obligations, financial, family, etc., in your early 20s that you would in your 30s or 40s. Some of the disadvantages are that you may already be paying off substantial student loans, and taking on more debt may be challenging. Also, without relevant work experience, it may be more difficult to apply what you are learning to real-life situations, and subject matter may stay too theoretical. Some of the general advantages to getting work experience first are that prior work experience can certainly provide you with a deeper understanding of your field and can help you clarify your future career goals. You can also save money to fund your career goals, and you might find that your employer is willing to fund your education through tuition reimbursement. The big disadvantage is that it may be difficult to give up a steady paycheck if you plan to go back to school full-time. So what type of degree should you get? A master's or a doctoral degree? There are even a number of hybrid combined degree or certificate programs out there. So what's best for you? Again, that depends on your career goals and your situation. For instance, consider whether you want to work while you are going to school. Generally speaking, it's fairly common to work while getting a master's, but not while getting a doctorate. Also, different degrees have different purposes. For example, master's level degrees, which typically take 2 to 3 years to complete, can be professional or academic. A professional degree, i.e. a master's in social work, helps you transition into a particular field. An academic degree is designed to enhance your intellectual growth, and it may be required for a doctoral program. Like a master's, a doctoral degree can be professional or academic. Professional doctoral degrees are intended to stress the practical application of specific skills and knowledge. The Doctor of Medicine, or MD as you would know it, is one such example. An academic doctoral degree, otherwise known as a Doctor of Philosophy or a PhD, is designed to advance knowledge through original research in a specific field. A PhD or other doctoral degrees may take upwards of 4 to 7 years to complete. Below is a list of common academic and professional degree programs for HDFS students. Please note that some academic programs do have professional tracks, such as the Child Development Program here in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies, and that professional programs often also have academic tracks. A number of things may influence your decision to go to a particular graduate school, including, first off, accreditation. Be sure to determine the proper accreditation your field requires, if any. You could encounter some serious problems if the program does not have the necessary accreditation for the field you're planning to go into. For example, if you attend an unaccredited law school, you may not be able to take the state bar exam, which is a requirement for practicing law. Other criteria may include admission standards, assistance for careers, costs and an available aid, the school's culture, the program's faculty, the school's location, reputation and ranking, the resources they have available to you, size, and finally state regulations and residency requirements. All of these things can and should be taken into consideration when finding a program that fits your personal, academic, and professional needs. Paying for graduate school can be stressful, trust me. As you assess whether you can afford graduate school, be aware that there are several ways to pay for it. For example, fellowships, which are typically targeted to the upper 5% of students, usually cover tuition as well as some living expenses. A more common way to finance graduate school is through assistantships, which is a job you hold through the university, typically in your department, that helps pay your tuition. Not only do assistantships typically pay between 25 to 100% of your tuition, they also provide stipends to cover other living expenses. Also, if you plan to work while going to school, you may check if your employer offers tuition assistance. The most common things you will need to apply for graduate school include a personal statement, which length will vary based on the program you're applying for, letters of recommendation. Typically you'll want between 3 and 4. Your program will list how many that they desire. I would encourage you to find at least one faculty member with a PhD and at least one person who can speak on behalf of your professionalism, including a boss. Other requirements include your transcripts, your resume, and an appropriate GPA. If you'd like to talk further about what would be defined as an appropriate GPA, please feel free to make an appointment with me and I will discuss that with you in more detail. I always recommend starting the application process early, because it can take longer than you think to apply. As a general rule, deadlines for graduate admissions, particularly for highly competitive programs, are usually in January or February, but there are some programs with deadlines as late as April or May for admittance for the following fall. Leading up to September, you should begin researching schools and selecting which you might visit, determining if these schools required admissions tests, begin brainstorming and writing your personal statement, identifying references, and begin designing a personal application timeline. In October, you should by this time have taken the admissions test if needed, determine the schools you are applying to, arrange for transcripts to be sent from all of your undergraduate schools, and you should be finalizing your personal statement. By no later than November, you should provide your references with the information they need. Make sure you give them at least 1 month's notice that you're going to ask them for a reference. It is always a good idea to provide them with your personal statement as well. At this time, you may have some early applications that are due, so pay attention to deadlines. In or around December or January, you will want to submit your application, depending on the deadlines of course, send thank you letters to your references, and follow up with graduate coordinators to make sure that your materials were received. Most graduate programs you will probably be applying to will require the Graduate Record Exam, or GRE, if they require a exam at all. Other tests that are listed here include the Graduate Management Admissions Test, or the GMAT, which is required for most MBA programs, the MCAT, the LSAT, and the DAT. Some counseling programs or other programs may also require the Miller Analogies Test, which I have not included. Information on this test can be found at MillerAnalogies.com. If you have any further questions about prepping or applying to graduate school, I would be more than happy to meet with you in an advising appointment and we can go over your personal plan.